Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Stochastic.com NFL Live Before Lock Showdown Edition. Awesome game on tap tonight. Really is. I mean, you talk about MVP implications, seeding implications. Great. Honestly, first round bye. Like that's the thing here. This game could ultimately decide the first round bye. And you have a lot of that stuff going on this week, too. I don't know if you're familiar with the Steelers situation, but that's maybe the most interesting one there is of anything. So listen to this. They could lose this week. They could lose next week. The Ravens could win this week and win next week. And still the only game that matters is week 18.
Do we see players? Oh, this would just be chaos for best ball. Imagine they rest players in week 17. They probably should, to be honest.
It'd be nuts, man. Well, it's not necessarily true. Like if the Steelers go on and win games and the Ravens lose these games, then the Steelers can have it locked up, right? But the idea that they could lose both and the Ravens could win both and still the Ravens, like it means nothing until week 18. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of fun games coming up this week. And what a way to kind of christen week 16 with Rams, Seahawks, both teams sitting atop the NFC West. It's a sick division outside of the Arizona Cardinals. Got some rainy, windy weather and no Devante Adams today. So here we go. How you feeling?
I told you right before we started, I'm the only person in the world who's looking forward to this game for this reason. I'm literally the only one. I've been every opportunity I can. I've been betting JSN futures. It's such a long shot, but I added him again today, 225 to 1 to an MVP. But if he has a big game today and the Seahawks win and he goes on to break the receiving record, I think he wins MVP. It's a very slim outcome, but I think it's greater than what the current live betting odds are, especially when you consider the matchups, because right now you've got Matt Stafford anywhere from like minus 250 to minus 300 to win MVP. And to me, if they lose this game and the Rams end up landing as like a 6 seed or a 7 seed or whatever it ends up being, I just don't see how he wins MVP.
Man, that'd be crazy. You get a wide receiver win an MVP. It's possible, sure. I mean, he has been that good. I like that angle. That's a nice angle. What, 25 to 1, you said?
225 to 1.
225 to 1 to win MVP?
Yeah. I posted on Twitter before too. So that's why, like, I've been building on this. This is why when you asked me before why I'm looking forward to this game, I've been building this position for about a month now, looking forward to this game and knowing what the potential impacts could be of this game to the MVP race. So anytime that I've been able to find JSN for 100 to 1 or longer to win MVP, I've been adding it. So once again, it's a very slim margin, but I stand to make a decent amount of money should this somehow fall into place. Like, I think the true odds should be like 30 to 1 or 40 to 1.
That's why when you said 25 to 1, I was like, all right, that seems about where it should be. 225 to 1 is crazy. Man, I tell you what, though, that Minnesota game hurt him pretty bad. That game hurt him bad. And it had nothing. It wasn't his fault. They killed him. But, you know, if he rattles off another 100 there, you're sitting north of 1,600 with 3 games to go. You know what I mean? Like that one game right there could have kept him from the 2K, not to mention that it's a 17-game season. But, yeah, man, that's definitely an interesting one. All right, happy to have you guys here. If you don't mind, take a single second, atone for your sins this evening. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We got a very good one to break down. We got the Sims updated, and I'm sure, what time were they updated at? Recently, right? They should be updated again, though.
Yeah, they were updated. The projections in Sims were the projections in ownership were updated like 10 minutes ago.
Perfect. We'll have one more update. I don't think it'll be all that critical, but for those of you who have time to wait, go ahead and do so. But yes, Devante Adams is officially out for this one. And, you know, it is a big deal, but it's not a big deal in that things change that much. Here's what I mean. If this were Puka Nacua out, it's a bigger deal. Like Puka Nacua is always going to get a monster target share. You know, Devante Adams in the same game in week 11 was targeted 8 times. He had 1 reception. You take Puka Nacua out of the lineup, everything changes. But I do think there's definitely a ripple effect. I mentioned the Spags today. you could see Kairen Williams get more involved in the passing game today, and it wouldn't surprise me. The Seattle Seahawks, the highest target share to running backs in the league this year, most targets, most receptions to the position. And that's not because they're bad, by the way. It's because they're so good that quarterbacks are checking down to the running backs, right? And they're looking for that safety valve, plus some bad weather. So I don't necessarily think it's like, well, no, you got these creative players out there, right? So many of them. Jordan Whittington, as you mentioned, last year was chalky when Puka was out, ended up barely even playing. Mumfield, Tutu Atwell's barely playing. And then they run a ton of 3 tight end sets with guys like Davis Allen, obviously Parkinson, and then Terrence Ferguson lining up more as a wide receiver in the slot. So, I mean, good luck. So when I say, Greg, that it doesn't mean as much, I don't mean it doesn't mean anything, but also good luck trying to hit that moving target of whoever else the hell benefits from this tonight.
So my thoughts here, and it's like you said, there's a ton of weirdness that can go on here, but I do think I have a read on who this should help and hurt. The biggest player it hurts is going to be Matt Stafford for me, because every other team gets to the 1 yard line. They run a tush push. They run up the middle or something like that. What do the Rams do when they get to the 1 yard line? They just throw the ball to Devante Adams. I don't think that's what they're going to do anymore. Like, I don't think Puka Nacua all of a sudden plays the Devante Adams role.
No, Colby Parkinson does, brother.
I think they're just going to run the ball to Blake Corum or Kairen Williams when they get to the 1 yard line now. That's what I think they're more likely to do.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. Of course. But Colby, dude, if you look at Colby Parkinson's, if you look at this dude's work in the red zone over the last 5 or 6 weeks, I'm telling you right now, it'll shock you. I mean, it's insane. And I'm not telling you anything you don't already know in terms of like who is a good play today, because he is. Over the last 5 games, Colby Parkinson, 6 games, leads the team in red zone targets with 15. 15. Puka has 3. Devante has 12. He has 7 targets inside the 10. Devante has 10. So and he's made some great grabs. I think if you're getting in there and you're looking past, believe it or not, I think Colby Parkinson is your first read in a lot of these spots inside the 10. Not at the goal line. Of course, no. Like Devante Adams was the goal line back, pretty much. Not at the goal line. But once you get in the red zone, I think they start looking Colby Parkinson's way. The question is, how many times do you get in the red zone today against the Seattle defense? Like, this just might be a really low-scoring game.
Especially considering the weather. It's supposed to be really windy. It's supposed to rain a little bit. So these are not necessarily the most pass-friendly environment that we're going to be seeing, at least not on paper. But, yeah, to me, I'm looking at it just we're looking at the Devante Adams. I do agree with you. I think it benefits Colby Parkinson a little bit down the red zone. It increases his touchdown equity, but I also really think that Kairen Williams and Blake Corum are way more likely to score touchdowns than they normally would be, because the Rams get to the 1 yard line. They just throw the ball to Devante Adams. It's an automatic touchdown. It has been the entire season, and that's just not going to be the case. Not only because they don't have Devante Adams, but also because of the weather conditions. So I think they're very likely to run the ball once they get inside the 5.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I don't think the weather has any impact in this game.
Ooh, okay.
It's a stadium that was designed to not really allow the wind to penetrate to the point where it makes a big difference. And I don't think it's going to really rain. I think there's going to be like a shower or two. I really don't think the weather is going to have it make a difference at all in this game. I'm pretty confident that that's the case.
We'll see. We'll see. It was supposed to be really windy to the degree that I think it could. It impacted the total for the game because it's come down. So, take that for it. It is a fairly low total. Like, what was the total the last time these teams played?
I don't know, but Devante Adams was also playing.
Yeah, but I don't. How many points is that?
Not a lot. Maybe 1, if that. I don't really think 42.5 is that low with these 2 incredible defenses, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up what the pregame total was for the November 16th game.
And yeah, I mean, last game the score was 21-19. 22-19, 21-19. Matt Siegel, are you in Seattle? He said the weather is fine here. Little windy, but not that different than it is usually. So we'll see. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it, but yeah, I'm not convinced it's going to be like some of these games that end up being crazy affected by the weather. I do like Kairen today though. And maybe that's just because the ownership to him is like way lower than it typically is. Look at Kairen Williams captain ownership for a second.
By the way, I don't know if this changes your opinion at all. The total for the game on November 16th was 49.5.
No, it doesn't. It honestly, like that's a huge drop. There's no way that it dropped 7 points due to this weather. There's zero chance that's
not only the weather, but I think the weather has some impact.
Maybe a point or two. I don't know that stadium. Like I'm pretty sure, and you can look this up. I'm almost positive that this stadium is designed to prevent wind from being an issue. Whatever. Look, I mean, obviously you guys are going to have to make decisions on your own based on how you think the weather plays here. We'll see. We'll see if it has an impact. If it does, well, I don't know. I still like Kairen. In a way, I still like Kenneth Walker, and I can't give this guy up despite him just crushing me every single week. I can't get away from it. Yeah, it's tough. What's Kairen's captain ownership right now?
Yeah, so if we go over to the captain spot, we've got really only ownership going to Puka Nacua and JSN. You guys will see here on screen our projected ownership. We've got Puka projected for 28% ownership in the captain spot. JSN projected for 25% ownership. Sam Darnold, 7%. And this is based on data. It's going to be lower. People are convinced that Sam Darnold is incapable of playing in a football game that has any kind of meaning to it. So he's not going to be set. I don't want to play him in the multiplier spot either, but I don't think he's going to be 7% owned in the multiplier spot. But he's 7% owned. Colby Parkinson's just under 6. AJ Barner's 5. Stafford's 5. Kairen is 3.7% owned in the captain spot.
See, to me, that's crazy. Even if he ends up being terrible. I know that Blake Corum's getting additional work lately. Though, like Kenneth Walker and Kairen getting no captain ownership, where you're looking at what 54% of captain ownership occupied by Puka Nacua and JSN. Like that's so much, man. That is so much.
By the way, I looked it up. What the architecture of the stadium does. So what it does is it mitigates the fans feeling the wind, but it has no impact on the actual field. So whatever the wind is, it is still going to impact the field of play, but the fans don't feel it apparently.
What?
That's how it was supposedly put together according to what I'm reading right here.
So the fans who surround the field are not impacted by the wind.
Yeah. So the fans do not, the fans will not feel the wind with the way the seats are set up, but it still impacts the field of play.
Well, you guys a bunch of pussies out there in Seattle?
Apparently a little bit of wind and they fall apart.
I'm just kidding. That weather's always nasty out there in Seattle. I think they have it worse than most of us. All right. Fair enough. John Prince. Yes, I will die on this hill. I'm not too worried about the weather personally, but apparently Greg is, and that's okay. I do like the idea of it's so gross. Kenneth Walker. It's so gross. And they really haven't used him all that much in the passing game lately. He's not getting that. Hey, I'm from Boston originally. I'm just joking, man. I'm kidding. But I will say at the link, we feel that wind. They built it so the wind feels worse for the stands. They probably for the fans. They probably did. They hate us. But all right. So then who do you like at captain if it's not Puka and JSN?
So for me, it's Kairen for the reasons I mentioned before. First off, you've got no in this game, like we said before, no Devante Adams. So I just think that is going to lead to Kairen running the ball a little more, particularly on the goal line. I think Blake Corum, Kairen Williams, their touchdown equity has both gone up as a result of no Devante Adams. That's really the primary reasoning for me. That's going to create a little bit more upside for them this game, particularly over on FanDuel. That has me leaning more towards Kairen as a top MVP option. Still is ending up being relevant for DraftKings as well. But then even outside of the goal line, I think there's more target potential for Kairen Williams, who's been a capable pass catcher. So if I'm going to be going low owned, this is DraftKings and FanDuel. Kairen's the guy in the multiplier spot for me.
Oh, the Chicago Bears 85. Look at the broadcast. They're sitting outside with papers on the table and you can see wind, but it's not like the papers are flying. See, that's because they're not on the field. Put them on the field, they're going to blow away. Not the papers, everybody. So that's the difference. That's the difference. They designed it so the papers would not fly away. I'm with you, though. It's an interesting spot. And Kairen hasn't done a whole lot as a pass catcher this year, but he can. And I do think there's opportunity there. Colby Parkinson at 5% is not crazy either. He's actually the fifth highest owned captain. And I'll tell you what, Greg, I actually don't hate that. It's not pretty, but if you just have JSN and Puka with okay games, they're so expensive, right? Like these guys are both, they're 17-4 for JSN and 18K on DraftKings at the captain spot, 11-6 and 12K at flex. So you get an idea of how expensive they are. Like if those guys don't have a game where they fully pop off, and that's very possible, right? Even if they're good, but not great. A game from a Parkinson or like an AJ Barner, who in this game last time out had double-digit targets, I do think there are angles here. Yeah, in all likelihood, it's one of these guys to get it done. But I don't look at this game and just immediately assume that I have to jam Puka and JSN in every lineup at captain, especially for those of you guys playing 3-max and stuff.
They are so popular. Like let's we don't have to revisit the win conversation. Let's just take that out of it. If you just saw any showdown slate where two of the players account for more than 50% of the field's ownership and everybody else is contrarian, there's always going to be reasons to try out other guys. Now, I know that these two players, like by a mile, the highest fantasy point upside of anybody in the game, but somebody else could just score touchdowns instead of them. And then all of a sudden somebody else lands in the top lineup. And our sims are getting to these two guys more than anybody else, but it's still underweight to the field. Puka Nacua, 28% owned, shows up in 21% of top lineups. JSN, 25% ownership, showing up 19% of top lineups. So our sims are still getting to them, just not as much as what their ownership is. So that's also where I'm looking at it as I think they're probably a little bit overowned. Still great options, just a little bit too popular.
If you go to the data hub, is it going to remove our sim? I think it will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
was going to see. What's that?
I could pull up another tab though.
Yeah. Because I'm curious to see like what the optimal rates are for these guys today. And when I looked earlier, Kairen and Walker did actually have pretty decent leverage, positive leverage at captain, but that doesn't mean you get to a ton of them. I'm just throwing out some ideas and some options and I know you're doing the same thing for guys who may not be popular, but look decent at captain, because of course you're probably still going to get to a lot of Puka Nacua and JSN at captain. This isn't to say you don't get to any of them, but you're right. They're very owned. We actually are under the field on them at captain too. And we're just, the only difference is that we're really spread out everywhere else. Kairen, we're over the field. I like that. Colby Parkinson, a little over the field. Kenneth Walker, over the field. So if it's funny because we're actually under the field on the two top guys, over on a lot of these other guys, it's just we're still getting so little of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, I know you mentioned Colby Parkinson and you would also kind of agree with me on Kairen, but is one of those guys your top choice for a contrarian multiplier spot guy?
Yeah. I mentioned Kairen at the very top of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. That's when I was saying that you have so many other options that are unproven in the passing game without Devante Adams. It does feel like Kairen could get more work in the passing game against the Seattle team that allows, more targets, receptions to the position than any other team. So does that mean he will? No, I have no idea what Sean McVay is going to do. But if he's 3% at captain, then yeah, of course I'll take some shots. I'll take some shots on Kenneth Walker too, man. Like, nobody wants to play Kenneth Walker at captain except me.
What is it? He's projected for more ownership in the captain spot than Kairen is, which is crazy to me.
Only because he's so much cheaper.
Yeah, I guess that's true. 10-8 in the captain spot compared to 14-7 still though. But our sims do get us overweight to both of them, but it is still wild to me that people are still going to a walk, or at least more than Kairen. And we've seen this also on every single main slate. We do these shows. We talk about his potential upside. Chat goes, not going to play him. And then the slate starts, and Kenneth Walker is like somewhat popular on all of these slates.
Yeah, it never fails, does it? Seriously, it never fails. Billy Benoit, would you fade kickers with the wind? No, I wouldn't. Greg,
not fade them. Keep in mind too that the weather is taken into account in our sims. Like it's something that we are taking into account, and it's part of the picture. So let's see. If we look at Jason Myers, still shows up in 33% of lineups. So yeah, it's not like we're completely getting away from the kickers. And then here. Mevis also is in 25% of lineups. So we're getting to both of the kickers in a decent amount here. Not going crazy with them, but yeah, I mean, we've got, once again, 25% and 33% exposure to the two kickers in the game.
Well, I suppose the all important question is, once the ball leaves the field level and it's like in flight, is the ball now a fan?
Well, fans also produce wind.
They do. But I'm saying, once the ball's high enough, does it no longer feel the impact of the field level wind? How great would that be if it, like, just as it's leaving the ground, it's going like this, but then it's just straight once it gets high enough? No, I don't know. I'm not too worried about the kickers. You know why? Because this could just end up being a game that's played in between the 20s. This could also just be a game, Greg, where like they're going to kick field goals because every point matters, right? You look remarkably, actually, what game was it? What game was it? Let me see. Was it Cardi? So Mevis had what? No field goal attempts in this game last time out. Myers attempted 5 field goals and made 4 of them in this game and had 15 fantasy points. So yeah, the wind is different. That game was in a dome, right? In LA. But yeah, I think there's an argument that just if you're at the 20, the wind isn't really that big of an issue for field goals. If you're kicking from the 40, then yeah, sure, maybe you don't go for it. But
the other thing too, with some of the wind, maybe we see someone make like a 70-yard field goal because they get a big gust behind them, and they just ride that, and they just ride it into the stadium where, then the wind stops, but the wind could put the ball on a ride. They
get that nice tailwind. I'm okay with it.
By the way, I've been having a conversation with ChatGPT about the wind now the entire time that we've been doing this. How I don't understand the architectural design at all, except it does seem pretty crazy.
You can't give this up.
Now I'm just interested.
I honestly, for your sake, now hope that the wind is just blowing players over.
Yeah.
And the fans are sitting there going like, what the hell is this? Not bad up here.
I hope the field goal goes backwards.
Yeah. I really do. I hope for your sake that, Darnold's in shotgun and the ball sails 60 yards over his head and just ends up in the end zone. But now, what about defenses? Because this is clearly a game where defenses are viable. Even a captain, we're not getting a ton. We're pretty much with the field, but I don't intend on just like fading defenses here either.
No. Defenses are also showing up overweight in the sims for us, marginally for both teams. We got both the Rams and the Seahawks defense projected for just under 20% ownership, and each of them are showing up in 22% exactly for the two of them. The price points really help as well. You've got a $3,600 Seahawks defense, a $4K Rams defense. Both these defenses are really good. And then there's also just overall reasons to be kind of concerned about the offenses on both teams. Sam Darnold, whether you want to say it's because he's struggled in big games or for some other reason, he's been inconsistent at times. And then Stafford also doesn't have Devante Adams, one of his key weapons. And Stafford also has been more turnover prone his last couple of games after basically not turning the ball over at all for like 3 months. We've seen Stafford turn the ball over a handful of times in the last few games. I think actually, in the last 3 games, it's accounted for 60% of Stafford's interceptions on the entire season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it is something that Stafford has, I don't want to say been an issue for him, but you've got a guy who set, I think it was an NFL record for touchdown passes without throwing an interception. And it's like right after they brought that up on the broadcast, he threw interceptions on the next 2 drives after that in the game against the Panthers, which they lost to, of all teams. So also, was there recent fumbles for Stafford in some of these games too?
I don't know. He's usually pretty well protected.
Yeah, let's see. I thought I remembered him fumbling. I could be misremembering, though. All right, Stafford. Yeah, Stafford's fumbled in 2 of the last 3 games on top of the interceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to maintain that pace too, right? It's really, really difficult to maintain 2 interceptions to like 35 touchdowns. But yeah, Jordan, I'm new to Showdowns. Does defense at the captain spot ever win first? Sure. I mean, is it less likely? Yeah, but there's also a lot of people, most people never want to do it either. So if you do have just a killer defense, actually, I believe defense has been optimal in the captain spot at least once this year. Right?
Was it like a Steelers game or something?
Yeah, maybe that, but also was it the Arizona and Cowboys game? It may have ended up being Marvin Harrison, but
it was that game was Harrison. I off the top of my head, I feel like I remember it happening. I just don't really remember which. Oh, you know which game might have been? Wasn't there like a Chargers Raiders game where, I mean, it was the Raiders, so their offense sucks. I think I remember a Chargers Raiders game where the Chargers defense scored a ton of fantasy points.
Okay. Everyone's saying Bears Vikings too.
Oh, Broncos Bengals.
Was it? Was it defense was optimal?
Let me pull that game up.
I mean, either way, it can definitely happen. Does it happen often? No. But you know, the other thing is, like, outside of Nakua and JSN, you can see here that while you're doing that, pull up captain one more time so I can just pull the screen up so I can show it. You'll see that most of these guys are not going to be like, actually, here, let me do this for you guys. If you guys use the tools, one thing you should see here, I haven't updated this yes, I did. Sorry. Yes, I did. Here, look at the data, right? I'm going to pull this up for you guys so you can see what I mean. If you are using the tools, make sure you use the data hub too, because we have all of this great information in here. Look, this is the data hub where you see all of this, like the optimal captain rate. So the rate, the probability that JSN and Nakua are the optimal captain today would be 27 and 25.5% respectively. But then it drops down a lot. So like, so Parkinson here's a good example. He's less than 6% owned to captain, but he has a 7.5% optimal captain rate. That is positive leverage at the captain spot. My guess is if you go down to the defenses, they'll be slightly positively leveraged. Seahawks a little bit, tiny negative leverage for the Rams, but again, those are the spots. So here, just go to the most positively leveraged players: Parkinson, Darnold, Kenneth Walker. The point I'm making, though, is that a lot of these guys are just not going to be in there a lot at all. Like even Kairen is 3.9% optimal at captain. It's a low number when you have guys like JSN and Puka Nakua, and even Sam Darnold and Matthew Stafford for that matter, right? They're going to be up there as well. So that's basically what we're looking at here. So the answer is yes, but it's not common. Of course not, but neither is winning a tournament. Like you could still get Nakua or JSN, right, Greg? And it doesn't really mean that, like, you might still need them, but you still have to, a lot of other things have to go right.
The other thing too is, all right, you hit on JSN or Nakua. You're competing with a ton of lineups. Like you really got to get everything perfect and hope you don't have a lineup that's duped so many times that you barely make any money.
Right, exactly. Michelle Lavi, what about Kupp in the flex? I know he's dust, so good to play both defenses at flex. I think you can absolutely play both defenses if you wanted. I made a lineup in the perfect lineup video today with both of those in flex. And yeah, look, Kupp, is he no good anymore? He's not, but it's also a 1-game slate. And outside of JSN, I mean, what's the answer, right? Rashid Shaheed's been okay the last couple games, but it's still Rashid Shaheed. There's still a very low floor on him. As a matter of fact, when I pulled it up earlier today, if you're wondering, you want to here's another good example for you guys. If you wanted to look at like the optimal rates on these guys or anything else really, you know, you look how close Kupp is to Rashid Shaheed. Very, very similar, right? You're going to have very similar numbers on these guys. So I'm fine with either of them, honestly. See, like super similar. 8.35 projected for Rashid Shaheed, 8.19 for Cooper Kupp. He's $5,600. Rashid Shaheed is $6,600. So you're talking $1,000 discount there. Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. He's fine. That's all.
Yeah, I filtered by Kupp here just so you guys could see. To Waffy's point, fine is really the best way to describe him. He's projected for 20% ownership. He was showing up in 18% of top lineups. His downfall has to be studied because he was very good in the first half of last year. I've never seen a player go from being not necessarily the peak version of himself, but at least the first part of last year, he was still a top wide receiver in the league.
Good.
He sucked in the second half of the year. He fell off so quick. It's wild. The first week of last year, he had 14 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. He had another 100-yard game in week 4. He had a 100-yard game in week 6, and then completely fell off the map. It is insane how quickly he deteriorated. And I would be curious to get an explanation. Like, did he have an injury that he just didn't bounce back from that we didn't hear about? Because
I think so.
It is an inexplicable drop-off.
I think so. But he's also pretty old too, right? That wasn't rhetorical. I'm saying like he's pretty old for an NFL. He's 32. Like he's no spring chicken. He just didn't really ascend until he was a little bit older.
Yeah, it was just weird for him to be like I think I remember actually looking at some of the best ball redraft stuff last year. Week 2 and Kupp was the 1-1 pick. He was the first overall pick in drafts after he had 14 targets in week 1. And then by the time he got to the end of the season, you'd be like, I don't even know if this guy's draftable.
Yeah, he wasn't at that point. Nakua just fully took over. Here's another spot I want to talk about. And I see chat talking about it too, which by the way, if you guys haven't used the tools, checked out the tools yet, we had another 60K showdown winner on Sunday. I'd like to see another stochastic avatar up top tonight. That would be a beautiful thing. If you want to use these tools, the link's down there. You check it out for a week, a month, anything, right? NFL, all access, whatever it may be. But the cool part about all of this is you are now reaching the time where even if you don't get in tonight, you just come back to that link tomorrow, you go to stochastic.com and sign up there. You've got Saturday football this week. You have Sunday, you have Sunday night, you have Monday night. You have 3 Christmas Day games. God bless Netflix for paying for those garbage games, but I don't care. They're great for fantasy. Mm-hmm. And then you go back in to another big slate, just a million different, like unique type of games, special style games with the holidays coming up. So if you were to try a week out or anything like that, or a month, you're getting in at the perfect time. I always tell people strategically plan how you're going to set up your subs if you can, when you're grabbing a week or a month. And once you get into this part of the season, this is the time to check out a week or check out a month, because this is when you get so many variations of slates. You're playing, you got football like 4 or 5 days a week on some of these days. So, well, really 4 in a lot of them, right? But it's awesome. So check it out down below. If you ever have questions, you can always hit Greg up. You can always hit me up. All right, what do you want to do with these Rams tight ends? Because they're all going to play a lot. Parkinson is the target leader and the red zone target leader, but Ferguson lines up in the slot. He hasn't been targeted often. You know, he's a rookie. He's made mistakes, but he should be out there. And then Davis Allen is just that type of guy that can ruin everyone's day if you don't play him. So I'm making sure to get some of him as well.
If it wasn't for fantasy and DFS, I don't even know that Colby Parkinson would be considered a tight end. I think he'd just be considered a wide receiver. He plays, I don't know exactly what the breakdown of his snaps is, but he plays a ton, like you said, out of the slot and ends up being somebody who makes a lot of his big plays when he's actually lined up as a wide receiver. So Colby Parkinson, especially with this might even mean more routes as a wide receiver being run for Colby Parkinson with Devante Adams out. You had mentioned some of the red zone looks that he's been getting this year as well. Of all the players who are pass catchers who are not Devante Adams, he's been the next guy in line. I don't see how he's not the number one guy to roster of the Rams tight ends.
Yeah, the only downside is that he's going to be popular, but I still like him. But I like Ferguson too. You don't have to be in love with this guy, but you look at last week and you look at like where they're lining up. Ferguson lined up in the slot more than any other player. Like Parkinson was in line as a tight end 82% of the time. Davis Allen was in line as a tight end 74% of the time. Ferguson only targeted once or twice in that game, and I only had 1 for 6, but 44% of his snaps were out of the slot. 28% of them were wide. So oddly enough, they're not using him, but I think you have to actually consider him as the kind of de facto wide receiver here alongside your Mumfields and your Tutu Atwells and such.
Yeah, if you look at Ferguson, one thing that is somewhat in his favor, he does have 3 red zone targets this year, which you might say, well, what does that actually mean? Well, Colby Parkinson has 17 for the year. Puka has 12. If you look at the other pass catchers, Xavier Smith is 2, Whittington is 2, Mumfield has 1. Ferguson is somebody who has some red zone looks. And keep in mind, too, there's no more Tyler Higbee in the picture, so you're removing his red zone looks. If you are looking at the players that Stafford's actually thrown to in the red zone this year, Devante Adams, who's not an option, occasionally Puka, Colby Parkinson, and then the other tight ends. That's who he throws to in the red zone. So I do think that Ferguson, if you're looking for a long shot guy to score a touchdown, he is somebody who's going to he's gotten a red zone target in 2 of the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pulling out for my boy Elijah Arroyo, because Elijah Arroyo is another rookie who, similarly, you'd see him running downfield as a rookie, like waving his hands, calling for the ball. He made a couple great plays this year, and he's another guy. Like, I'm seriously, you look at the way he lines up, a lot of what he does is out of the slot. And I think Ferguson, while he hasn't shown much, he's cheap. Sotek said, I know this seems like Ferguson, but I'm sticking with Colby. You could go. I like both, man. Mm-hmm. There's really I don't have any problem playing 2 tight ends from the Rams today when your other wide receivers, not named Puka Nacua, are Kanata Mumfield and Tutu Atwell and Jordan Whittington, right? Like that. And who's the other one? Xavier Smith.
Yeah.
Like if he's even going to be out there. There's nobody that you can confidently play. So, yeah, I think Davis Allen too. The tight ends, I'm just going to rotate him, and I'll have more of Parkinson because I think he's actually the real deal. But yeah. What about the low end wide receivers for you?
By the way, my screen is frozen. I don't even know how I'm still here because I can't press.
Dude, it's a StreamYard thing and it's super annoying, and I don't know why it happens. Just refresh and pop back in. I don't know if you're doing that because you're frozen, but
no, I think you could hear me though, right? I assume
just
you're responding to me.
Refresh StreamYard and come back in. I can throw mine up on the screen too. Let me see if I
can't even find, like, it won't even let me switch to the StreamYard screen anymore.
Yeah, it's a StreamYard thing, and it's no. Hit the refresh up top on the entire page.
No, I know I can't do that. Like my entire screen is frozen. I tried refreshing, just control refresh and nothing, like control R and nothing happened.
That happened to me during a show before too. It's super annoying, dude. Whatever. If we can see you, that's fine. I mean, if we can hear you, that's fine. Unfortunately, you're frozen in a perfectly normal looking position. sometimes it's really unfortunate. No. I've had people send me screenshots saying, it looks like I just experienced something pleasurable, but nah. So, all right, I'm going to rerun these right now.
My computer's also beeping like it's R2D2 right now. I don't know if that's coming over the screen.
That's very odd. Maybe it is your computer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's my computer right now. It is not reacting well.
Well, if you drop off, I got you covered for the next 15 minutes. Just hang in there. I hope it doesn't detonate.
I'm going to record I'll try to record a video the next time it starts beeping and booping so I could send it to you afterwards. But yeah, I mean, this is well beyond my expertise of what I know what to do with.
You'd have to restart your computer. It's fine. You're still here. And we're just going to let people who are joining now assume that you speak with little motion. So you're good to go. Billy Too Nasty. Yeah, Billy Too Nasty. Most duped lineups. People love that question. That's okay. We had a bunch of that today. All right, let's see. Most duped lineups. Greg, you can't see the screen, but I'll talk through it. Some of the most duped lineups are actually 3 threes. That's not surprising. Captain, JSN, Puka, Barner. Look at that. JSN, Puka, Barner, Puka, JSN, Kobe Parkinson. So, yeah, you're looking at a lot of 4 twos, 3 threes. You can see them on the screen here. I'll zoom in a bit for you guys to make it a little bit easier on these ones. That's pretty much what you're dealing with. If you're asking for, and by the way, this most duped lineup is actually 50% almost simmed ROI. So if you run enough uniques, you might actually get there. Now, as far as the highest simmed ROI lineups go, I'll never forget when I did this last year and a dude do you remember the guy that was just getting done his softball game and sat in his car and just took the highest simmed ROI lineup when we did it?
Oh, yeah. And he like shipped everything.
He shipped everything from his car after softball, still wearing cleats. Yeah. That was an awesome day for him to come back and be like, yeah, so this is what happened. But highest simmed ROI lineup is Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jason Myers, Kairen Williams, Rams, Sam Darnold, and Seahawks. Double defense with a kicker. Another one with kicker and a defense. Does that really surprise you though? It doesn't surprise me in this game.
Not really, especially considering that, well, the defenses themselves aren't massively popular. They are still pulling some ownership. They're both around 20%. And there is still, there's a couple narratives at play. Number one, we don't have to get back into the wind and rain, but there's also a lot of people who are very fully convinced that Sam Darnold just turns into a pumpkin whenever he plays in a game with any kind of stakes involved. And I do think it's going to lead people to click the Rams defense.
That's a good point. Yeah, and also it feels like the Rams have kind of been his kryptonite too, right? Like, wasn't it the Rams that took him out in the first round of the playoffs last year and made him look like that? Wasn't it the Rams who were the reason the Vikings decided not to re-sign him, in all seriousness?
So I really think it was JJ McCarthy more than anything. They were convinced JJ McCarthy was the guy for them, which, now that is something that seems less of the case. But yeah, he did get run over in the playoffs by the Rams. They lost that game 27-9, and Darnold in that game, he only threw 1 interception. I remember it being way more than 1 interception, but the stat sheet says it was 1 interception. He threw a ton of interceptions in his last game against the Rams this year. So at least the last 2 game sample size, whatever weight you guys want to put into that, those 2 games have been extremely poor against the Rams. He had the playoff game last year that Lofty just referenced. And then a month ago, he played the Rams. They lost the game 21-19. Darnold threw 4 interceptions. Still a game the Seahawks had a chance to win. They kicked a field goal that would have won at the end of the game. They just ended up missing it. So they were still live in that game somehow. But yeah, Darnold did throw 4 picks in that game.
Yeah, crazy. You know what you're actually right now, the way you're frozen? You know the Pepe the Frog meme?
Yeah.
Was like created by someone on 4chan or 8chan as a troll. And then the media took off and ran with it as like a hate symbol when really it was just a troll for them to try and get, people to buy into it. That's kind of what it looks like right now, as a matter of fact. But yeah, you're right. Okay, so then do you think though that you want to go underweight on Darnold today, because he's actually getting decent ownership at captain and a ton in the flex?
So I think he's fine as a flex option. I really don't want anything to do with him in the captain spot, and that doesn't have as much to do with the narratives as much as my typical normal stance, which is I don't want to play non-rushing quarterbacks all that much in the captain. So especially in a game like this, you've got JSN, you've got Puka Nacua, you've got running backs with upside like Kairen Williams. I just don't think it's very likely that Sam Darnold is going to be the highest scoring player in the game. And especially when he's pulling ownership, it would be one thing if he was, like 2% owned in the captain spot, but he's expected to be like nearly 10% owned in that multiplier spot. So with that in mind, he has 0 rushing touchdowns this year. He has 3 games with more than 5 rushing yards four games, sorry, more than 5 rushing yards the entire season. He's really reliant on having some sort of like 300 plus yard passing game with multiple touchdowns. He's got 1 300 yard or 2 300 yard passing games the entire season. So you got to go with no rushing upside. He only has 2 300 yard passing games. And you know what is typically going to happen if Sam Darnold has 300 passing yards? It means that JSN had 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's a tough one for me to click on at his ownership. I have no interest in Darnold as a multiplier option.
You usually don't, right? I mean, specifically, you typically don't like those guys without mobility.
Yeah, and this one, like, even more so, especially, I don't understand the ownership on Darnold. Maybe we get to lock in a few minutes and we just see that the field didn't want to play Darnold, but just leaning on what our ownership is, it looks to me like he's well overowned in the multiplier spot on FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah, I think so. And Bus Diablo asked, is it possible that LA doesn't care about the win? Why would they not? I mean, this is a wildly important game for them, man. For both of these teams. Like, this is a huge game, especially without Adams. Yeah, it's big. Adrian, if I could, I would. I don't have the competency right now doing this live. But yeah, Justin, if it came down to it, and if you guys have questions, fire away. We got 10 minutes to go. And of course, make sure if you haven't checked out all of our bets over on Tails, what a good time to do so, huh? Not only that, but you've got a ton of people that throw live bets up there, which you should take advantage of. Not only the live bets, but just everything else. You can one-click tail all of this stuff. We've got look at our boy Ben Rasa. Wait, did Ben not go with his bet of the day, NFL? No, he went Arkansas State. Get out of town. There. I know. The touchdown jackpot. I totally forgot about that. I'm going to leave like a minute early. He went Cooper Kupp for the touchdown jackpot.
Ben's going full Gajeski, one of the biggest NFL games of the year. And he's like, no, but Arkansas State's more important.
He's like, I don't care if people want this. I want them to want Arkansas State. Josh hit the touchdown jackpot. And if it was only on Tails last week, hopefully some of you guys tailed him on Sean Tucker, got those bonus bets. There he goes. Of course he would brag about this. Davis Allen. Oh, I love it. 10 to win. See, dude, how do you not have the Tails app yet? He's got.
If you guys don't have the Tails app, you guys will see there's a prompt right there on screen about the Tails app. At least I assume it's still there. I can't see it, but I'm just making an educated guess that nothing's changed. It says on the top right, download the Tails app. Just go down below. There's a link in the YouTube description box to download the Tails app. If you haven't downloaded it by now, you guys are missing out. We're hitting on some plus EV sharp bets. We're also posting some fun bets. I've won 3 same game parlays over the course of the last few days that I've posted to Tails. I've got one up there for the Thursday night game tonight as well with an angle that I like. But yeah, Tails it's like all of the best things of Twitter in the betting space without any of the worst things. Like no trolls, no idiots, no scammers. It's just people who like betting that are posting bets and all different kinds of bettors and all like good actors.
For sure. The no trolls part is my favorite. By the way, I'm putting it on the screen now. All right. It's up there. So check out Tails if you haven't done so yet. It's awesome, man. Download the app. Come hang out with us. We have a ton of fun over there. and a lot of really sharp people. So anything else you guys have as far as questions go? I think we hit on most of these players. Let's see. Kairen or Stafford? I like Kairen, but it's so tough. That's a really tough one for me. Like I do like Kairen today, but I understand that I'm kind of on an island there, Greg. I totally get that.
No, Kairen for me too. I love Kairen tonight.
Did you bet the jackpot? I'm gonna bet it right now. Sorry, this isn't going up on Tails. I don't have time.
Yeah, I bet it. Let me check. I did either Kairen or Quorum. I can't remember which one I ended up picking. I'll log into my. I could look down and just log into my account and check. Nobody can even see what I'm doing. Right? I could be naked for all anybody knows. But let's see. Who did I end up betting?
You're not frozen anymore.
I did Quorum. For my jackpot bet.
Okay, I'm going Terrence Ferguson.
Okay.
Why the heck not, eh? There we go. Terrence Ferguson. Lock it in. Thoughts on Myers? Sorry, late if you talked about him. I think Greg and I have slightly different opinions there. I'm not as concerned about the kickers. Typically, I try not to over-evaluate certain things, especially given that, like if it's gusts. I just think this is one of those games where the kickers, they might have to kick. If that's not the case, then it is what it is. I just don't think this being one of those games where like it's so bad that they only go for 2-point conversions when they score. So I'm okay with them.
Yeah, I think long kicks, maybe it could be a little bit of an issue for kickers, but yeah, for things like short field goals, extra points, I don't think it'll be problematic.
Brandon, hey guys, can you scroll down a little bit in the lineups? Interested to see at what point our ROI starts to drop off. Usually it's a pretty smooth decline here, Brandon. You see? Like I'm scrolling for you. There's no real significant drop off. Of course, you're going to have spots up top, like here. If this is what you're talking about, there's a pretty big drop off from the couple up top, right? Like these two 450s. But outside of that, it's pretty smooth. Here's a fun one though. Like if you want to look at the lineup with the highest cash percentage, it is I believe it would be the most duped. Yep. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Barner, Myers, Puka Nacua, Darnold, and Terrence Ferguson. The highest win percentage in this sim was the same one. How about that, dude? The one that won the most is also the one that is the most duped.
Interesting.
Right? Highest pass percentage, highest win percentage, and most dupes. That's pretty crazy.
What's the just because I can't see the screen right now? What's the ROI on it?
It's still 48%, and it's the highest projected lineup too on fantasy.
Okay, that makes sense. Then I could see that being the case. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens on a lot of showdown slates where there's really concentrated top options like JSN and Puka Nacua. I've never really thought to look at that though. It's interesting.
Sorry, I muted myself. I would have expected it to be up there, but not the highest. These lineups seem underduped. The 5-1 Seattles. People, tell you what, man, 5-1s are typically not that popular. They really aren't.
No, I would assume what 3-3 or 4-2 is. Yeah, I guess 3-3 is probably the most popular build.
Yeah, 3-3 and I think 4-2 as well. But 5-1s, there's just an aversion to that. A lot more people do it now because they have access to great tools like the Sims and stuff. But it's not as popular. Can I get an update on what's going on with? Is it overheating or smoking yet?
I'll send you the video and I'll also post it after we're done with this show. But it's more likely to blow up than not blow up. I'll put it that way.
Do you smell anything strange?
Yeah, but I've also had my microphone up my ass for the last 20 minutes, so that's a possible reason.
Yeah, that's especially if you took it out.
It tastes funny too, but that's a separate issue.
All right, dude. Don't do this. Jordan, Stafford, Myers, or Kairen and Rashid Shaheed? Ooh. Stafford Myers. I think I'd go Stafford Myers there. What's the ownership on Atwell? I have it projected. Sorry, long day. 4% flex. Let's see.
I'm sorry. I am of so little use during the show. I'm just looking at a blank screen while my computer just sounds like it's about to detonate. I can't even hear you half the time because of how loud my computer is beeping and booping.
Yeah,
doing my best here.
I'll be honest. You're doing well. If it were Ben, I'm pretty sure the panic attack would have set in 30 minutes ago. So you're doing really well. When that happened to me and everything started shutting off and I was like, I need you to take over, he just shut down. Love Ben to death, man. He does awesome content, but put him in a tricky situation and things go downhill quick. 3% Tutu Atwell. Yeah, what is that? 3% projected ownership on Atwell. Is that just flex? No, he's got it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. So captain ownership 0.37, flex ownership 3.7. So really nothing. But the thing about Tutu Atwell is that last week, and I'm not saying this can't change, when teams have additional time to prepare after a top player goes down in game, they can adjust things. But Atwell only played 4 snaps last game. So it makes it a little bit difficult. Anyway, hey, you guys are the best, man. Appreciate you hanging out. Hit that thumbs up before you go. All the tools, you can check them out down there in the description. And many thanks to all of you who have taken the time to rate the Tails app. Hey, it's the giving season, right? If you have a minute, and I know you will during these games tonight, you're sitting down watching the game, maybe having a beer. Maybe you enjoy smoking, whatever it may be. Maybe you're like Greg and you just getting pleasure from sticking the microphone up your ass. Whatever it may be that brings you joy, take 1 second, head into the app store, give us a 5-star rating and maybe a review if you have an additional couple seconds on the Tails app, Tails. Be super huge, and that would bring us a great amount of joy. We're trying to get to 1,000 ratings by the end of the year, and we're at like 815. So every single one of them is going to go a really long way. Anyway, thanks. Greg, anything else you want to say before we go?
Yeah, I'll be starting a GoFundMe for a new computer after that. No, just like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tomorrow morning, Loughran and I will be on the NFL Strategy Show tomorrow. Tune in to find out if my computer survived the night or not.
We'll see. And if not, I will be with you tomorrow on a solo show for the Sim Strategy. One way or another, we'll be there 10 o'clock Eastern. Good luck tonight, guys. Bye-bye.